This event was launching of the broadcasting rights for KBC for the World Rally Championship, the WRC Safari Rally for this year, 2021. Therefore, every Kenyan is going to be able to have an opportunity to watch every step and every action that is going on the rally. It's a great time for us. We're very excited that after 19 years, the rally is actually back here in Kenya. The President has put a lot of effort to ensure that this has happened, as well as the Ministry of Sports under CS Amina Mohammed, to make sure that we're going to see this great event come back to our country.
Kupata skiza tune ya usifadhaishwe, dial star 811, star 815 hash.
Usifadhaishwe na mafanikio ya wengine ukihisi kwamba maisha yako hayana maana. Kumbuka, wengi huzungumzia tu mafanikio yao na si changamoto walizozipitia na ni mara ngapi walianguka. Tia bidii, muda wako utafika.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya usifadhaishwe kwa simu yako, dial star 811 star 815 hash, star 811 star 815.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni, unakumbuka uliekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako, chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Did you know that during this time of COVID-19, you can reach us on our toll-free line 0800-724499 or email us on comments@ira.go.ke. You can also visit our website at www.ira.go.ke or follow us on our social media platforms. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
Every time I'm in front of the camera, I remember my culture.
After all, story ni yetu. Kama unadai drama origi, telenovelas na sports, get your GoTV decoder na 1 month GoTV Plus for 1,299 bob. Download my GoTV app kumanage account yako on the go, ama dial star 423 hash kusubscribe, kupay, kureconnect, kuupgrade ama kuclear errors. GoTV, love it.
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for keeping it KBC Channel 1. You're just in time for the latest in Kenya and beyond borders as we kickstart our bulletin right now, today being the 14th day of the 6th month, the year 2021, a day when we are celebrating blood donors globally. We'll be giving you details about how Kenya joined in this quest to ensure that each and every person who needs blood and blood products get access to it, and of course what is being done as we mark this very important day. Today as well, we got so much touching on politics and also the war on COVID-19 contained in our comprehensive news bulletin that begins right now. Also the war against HIV and AIDS. There is a very important conference currently underway in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. I'm talking about the Maisha Conference 2021, addressing how we can be able to progress and elevate the war against HIV and AIDS in our country. All that and much more in this broadcast. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma, and our sign language interpreter is Ann Wangeshi. Please engage us on social media at KBC Channel 1 and at Serfine_Achieng. Now let's kickstart this broadcast. National Assembly Majority Leader of Majority Amos Kimunya has cautioned KIAMBAA voters against electing a leader who will not work with the Jubilee government. Speaking during the campaigns for the Jubilee's candidate Kericho Njama, the Majority Leader said voting for the party that is opposing the government was equivalent to rejecting development projects. Have a look.
The ruling Jubilee Party's bigwigs, led by leader of Majority Amos Kimunya, was in Gashia to campaign for its candidate in the KIAMBAA by-election. Kimunya warning KIAMBAA residents against voting for a candidate whose party is opposing the government.
President hakuaibika, wale waliaibika ni watu wa Juja. Maana wenyewe wamejitoa kwenye serikali. Hakuna mtu anaenda kupiga kura ndio ingia kwa opposition. Mtu anaingia kwa opposition by bad luck. Kura zikiwa zimepungua. Wao wenyewe wameamka asubuhi wakajipeleka kutoa serikalini wakaenda opposition. Kwa hivi sasa wanalia. Wana member of parliament hana kamati bunge. Atapatiwa kamati na nani? Si wa opposition, si wa Jubilee. Yuko huko tu, ya? Watu wa KIAMBAA ni werevu na kuhakikishia tarehe 15 utaona
MPs accompanying Kimunya portrayed their counterparts who are now affiliated to the United Democratic Alliance as dishonest. Kiambu Governor James Nyorok drumming support for Jubilee's candidate Kericho Njama, saying he was more experienced politically than his competitors. On his part, the Jubilee candidate called upon the locals to support the ongoing reforms at Jubilee Party.
What I will tell you, God and the people of Kenya gave us power. Don't say no to power. Don't say no to Uhuru Kenyatta Muigai.
The KIAMBAA by-election is scheduled for 15th of next month. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
All right, moving on, the Media Council of Kenya and the Kenya Union of Journalists have castigated Bungoma Governor Wycliffe Wangamati for allegedly issuing threats to a Bungoma-based journalist over news coverage. Both MCK and KUJ say they are aware of allegations that the governor called Jimmy Simiyu of Royal Media Services and issued threats over his coverage of an event held in the county last Saturday. MCK Chief Executive Officer David Omoyo has called on the governor to respect the independence and freedom of journalists. He asked the Royal Media Services to interrogate allegations against the reporter. Kenya Union of Journalists Secretary General Eric Odor has called on the Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutyambai to investigate the matter with a view of bringing all those involved to account. All right, from Bungoma to Mumias, now we want to focus on other matters. Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya has warned sugar cartels and selfish politicians to stop interfering with the ongoing process of bringing Kenya's giant Mila Mumias Sugar Company back to life. Governor Oparanya has cautioned politicians against spreading unfounded propaganda and malicious claims about the process. Claims of alleged solicitation of bribes have rocked the intended revival, with politicians accusing each other of frustrating the revival of Mumias for selfish ends.
Kitu ya muhimu, tunataka Mumias ifufuke. Watu wetu waendelee kufanya pale kazi, wakulima wawe ya kupeleka miwa pale na miwa isiagwe na uchumi wetu wa Kakamega iendelee. Hatuna haja na mtu yoyote. Sasa hii mambo mengi imetolewa, sijui fulani kwa sababu hakupeleka tenda ndio akapeleka, na kamati ya Senate inataka kusema ati ina mamlaka ya kusimamisha mambo kuendelea. Kamati ya Senate awaseka hapa, kamati ya bunge iko na mamlaka gani? Sipaka ipeleke mambo kwa bunge. bunge yote iongee hayo mambo.
Moving on, a section of legislators in Kisii County has called on the government to expedite the disbursement of constituency development funds. Nyaribari Masaba, Member of Parliament Ezekiel Machogu, says the delay has led to the stagnation of development projects in the constituencies. Have a look.
Speaking in Nyansembe, Kisii County, the lawmaker stated that constituencies have only received 80 million shillings out of the 137 million shillings allocated to constituencies.
Ile pesa ambayo kila constituency katika Kenya inahitaji kupata ya CDF ni milioni 137. Kufikia sasa, ile ambayo tumeweza kupokea katika kila constituency ni milioni 80 peke yake. Ile ingine ambayo ndio inatakana kwenda kwa miradi wa masure na mengine bado hatujapokea.
The legislator lamented the incomplete development projects in constituencies such as classrooms, school laboratories and dormitories with few weeks adrift to the close of the financial year 2020-2021, attributing the delay to lack of funds.
Serikali ifanye kwa haraka ili katika huu mwaka kama bado ijaisha tuweza kupokea hiyo pesa, kwa sababu hii ndio pesa ambaye inaenea kila eneo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Inahitaji kukamilika katika msimu huu na sasa imeathirika pakubwa sana, kwa sababu sasa iwe madarasa, iwe karakana, iwe dormitories ambaye tungekuwa tumetumia hiyo pesa kwa kisa ya kwamba imekuwa tayari before the end of the financial year, bado kwa sababu hatujapokea hiyo pesa.
At the same time, Machogu urged the Ministry of Treasury to hasten the procuring of COVID-19 vaccines so as to combat the pandemic. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
Thank you, Jackie, for that report. Now, more than 100,000 elders in Baringo County are set to benefit from the cash transfer program. Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says the program has been allocated some 4.5 billion shillings in the 2020-2021 budget, calling on all eligible persons to sign up. Chelugui says a renewed registry will be released in September and will also include people with disability and orphans. The Labour Cabinet Secretary says the funds will be wired directly to the beneficiaries.
123,000 beneficiaries hawajaingia kwa hii register. Kuna mama wengi na wazee wengi wamehitimu kwa miaka lakini hawapati pesa. Kwa sababu ile register tunatumia ni ya mwaka wa 2017. Tutarudi hapa chini kutoka mwezi wa 9 kuandikisha wazee ambao wamehitimu kwa miaka waingie kwa register. Pia wale watoto ambao mayatima hawana wazazi wanafaidika. Pia walemavu ambao wamesajiliwa hawapati pesa wako kwa hiyo bajeti.
Now, Kenyans have been urged to embrace counseling programs to avert the rising cases of suicides and murders. Nakuru woman representative Liza Chelule claims suicide among young adolescents is driven by their intense psychological, emotional, and economic changes in their life and is a silent mental illness.
Chelule observed that it was unfortunate that the mental illness remains undiagnosed and undermanaged, adding that the only way to solve the same was to embrace counseling, asking those affected to speak out.
Kabla hujaamua kujiua, tafadhali ongea na rafiki, ongea na baba yako, ongea na mama, ongea na friend of yours, ongea na kanisa, ongea na mtu yeyote. Wacha kuchukua nafasi ya kujiua kabla hata hujashare problems yako na mtu mwingine.
Speaking while handing bursary checks to students in Nakuru, the woman representative said parents, friends, community, families, religious leaders, village leaders and schools all have a role to play in offering a nurturing environment conducive to preventing suicide attempts.
Na sisi wote tunajua, ninajua kuna program ambayo ilikuwa imetengenezwa na serikali yetu ambaye walimu wengi sana walielimishwa kwa mambo ya counseling. Pia chiefs walielimishwa kwa mambo ya counseling. Tukiona mambo kama hii inaendelea katika village yetu, tuingilie. Wewe kama umejifunza mambo ya counseling, hebu chukua nafasi na ucancel watu.
She challenged the society to try and highlight possible signs that can lead to suicide preventive action. According to a 2019 report by World Health Organization, about 800,000 people commit suicide each year globally. Beatrice Achieng, Channel 1 News.
Now that report by Beatrice Achieng takes us to our first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Please don't go too far. We still got more lined up ahead for you. Continue engaging us on social media as well at KBC Channel 1.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uliekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We! Insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine.
Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive motor insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, acha nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
The greatest rally in the world is back in Kenya. Catch all the action of WRC Safari Rally live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 from 24th to 27th June. See the world's best drivers navigate their machines on Kenya's rough terrain at breakneck speeds. Experience the thrills, adrenaline, drama and excitement as man and machine do battle. Don't miss out. WRC Safari Rally, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. And on this second part, we begin by addressing the war on HIV and AIDS in the country. Happening in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, is the 6th Maisha HIV and AIDS conference, one of the largest virtual conferences taking place, organized by the National AIDS Control Council. Caroline Kamau has been following up this for us, and she's now joining us live to give us an update on what we should be expecting on this first day of this conference that should be going on until the 16th of June 2021. Caroline, what do you have for us? What are some of the issues that have been raised with regards to the war on HIV in the country? What should we anticipate?
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Caroline Kamal. We are live from the Hilton Hotel here in Nairobi for the 6th Maisha HIV and AIDS conference that began last week Thursday and ends this week on Wednesday. And it brings together various stakeholders in the sector as they seek to find solutions and also build resilience for those living with HIV AIDS in the country. I'm now joined by the chair for National AIDS Control Council, Angeline Siparo, to talk to us about the significance of the conference and, of course, some of the things that they're working on. Thank you so much for joining us, Siparo.
Thank you so much.
So tell us, the conference started last week. Tell us the significance of this conference and why the theme towards the last mile resilience and innovation.
So first of all, let me start by saying that Kenya is a leader when it looks at research. And so the National AIDS Control Council 6 years ago began the Maisha Research Conference that happens every 2 years. And so this theme for this year is towards the last mile, building innovation and resilience in our approach towards HIV. When you mentioned last week, the actual conference began today. But last week was a pre-conference that was looking at issues around women and youth, key populations, and also adolescents and young people. Those are the groups we needed to hear in advance, and we also needed them to connect to the work that we are doing around our research. And so the conference is actually coming to look at innovations in research on policy, treatment, and just looking at evidence to be able to inform our programs.
You talked about the word resilience. You introduced the word resilience. What are we doing as a country to build resilience for those people who are living with HIV in the country?
So when you think of word resilience, it actually comes, if you look at, from drought and other issues. And so resilience is how do you maintain and sustain life despite the hard times. And so when we look at resilience, first of all, is people living with HIV having a full life, domestic financing for HIV. And you had, during the opening of the conference today, we talked that the government has allocated almost 9 billion towards commodities for HIV, TB, and malaria. So for us, resilience is a robust program for HIV that's managed by Kenyans, that's funded by Kenyans. That's really what resilience is about. But we don't forget quality of life for people living with HIV.
In the middle of a pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, what are some of the challenges that people living with HIV are facing, especially now that we have this global challenge?
COVID has just come to highlight the problems that we've been having, because first of all, before COVID, you also found out that we would take care of people living with HIV for a long time with life-saving drugs, but then they end up dying of diabetes, hypertension, and other cancers, and tuberculosis as well. And so a unified approach to disease is actually what we're looking for. But COVID has highlighted the inequalities we have in society, because protective gear, food, employment, livelihoods, COVID has disproportionately affected people living with HIV. And so for us, COVID, especially testing, similar to the conversations we had earlier, testing has also been an issue in terms of people living with HIV. And also remember that COVID, when you talk about pre-existing conditions, if you get HIV and if you get COVID and you've been living with HIV, then your risk element is much higher because of the pre-existing conditions. But I don't want us to isolate COVID, although it's the most important, because now we are dealing with 2 dual epidemics. But it's also to remember that also, if you are living with HIV and have diabetes, if you are living with HIV and have high blood pressure, then COVID will take you as fast as it will take the rest of the society. But also, it's also good to remember that COVID has just come to highlight the inequalities, and it is important for me that we don't lose sight of the HIV needs, even as we handle the COVID needs.
As we bring this to a close, what strides have we made as a country? Where are we as a country as far as the fight for in the fight for HIV?
Right now, the reason we are saying the last mile is because we have one area that we have not yet attained what we are looking for, and that's the elimination of mother-to-child transmission. There are countries that have eliminated mothers passing on HIV to their children. In Kenya, we haven't. That is actually the foundation or the bedrock of the First Lady's initiative. And so the First Lady cannot do it alone. Ministry of Health cannot do it alone. And so what we are doing as NAC is working with the counties so that we can all, so that if a mother, before she even gets pregnant, can she know her status? Because if you know your status, that's the first way of making sure that you prevent passing on the virus to the children. But I want to leave with one message.
if you are out and you do not know your status, that's the first thing. You can get HIV testing anywhere. And then even if we are not saying you shouldn't get pregnant. There is reproductive health rights for people living with HIV, but make sure you don't pass the virus to the fetus. And we care about both mother and child, so we want a healthy mother and a baby born without HIV. That's a place where we have not yet achieved as a country. Yes.
Angeline, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
So that's Angeline Siparo, the NSCC chair, and she's here for that conference that runs up until Wednesday. We'll be staying with this story and letting you know the resolutions from this conference. Back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, Caroline Kamau, there talking to us about the ongoing Maisha and HIV and AIDS conference currently happening in Nairobi. The theme, as they rightfully put it there, towards the last mile, resilience and innovations. A lot is going on in this particular conference just to address and take stock on the progress the country has made in the fight against HIV and AIDS. A conference that is coming 40 years since the first case of HIV and AIDS was discovered in the US. So looking at what needs to be done is also a very important thing. We'll be following up that conference for you just to give you details about what is coming forth. Now, moving on, KERICHO Senator Aaron Cheruyot has raised a red flag of a failure by authorities to address the boundary dispute between KERICHO and Kisumu counties. Senator Cheruyot says the dispute is a serious issue, which if not addressed may lead to bad consequences in the area.
KERICHO Senator Aaron Cheruyot argues that maps and surveys show that about 90% of Sondu market is in KERICHO. The senator is accusing revenue officers from Kisumu County of harassing traders, alleging that the traders are at times compelled to pay revenue twice.
We've lived and enjoyed good neighborliness until about a month or two, or probably 3 months ago, when this issue where revenue officers from the county of Kisumu began pushing beyond the boundaries of Kisumu County, harassing traders from the KERICHO side and collecting revenue that should otherwise belong to the county of KERICHO.
Andrew Mutai, Secretary of Sondu Town Management Committee, said the issue has done little to calm perennial tension between locals living along the border.
Yale mambo ambayo yanaendelea hapa Sondu inaweza kuwa inakaa kama ni jambo rahisi, lakini tunaona kwa muda ambayo hatujui ni lini inaweza leta mambo mengine ambayo inaweza leta madhara na hata kuleta ile tension kati ya watu ambao wameishi kwa miaka mingi vizuri.
Over the years, border dispute had led to loss of lives and destruction of property in the region, with attempts to ensure lasting peace appearing to bear no fruits.
Now, Northeastern Regional Commissioner Nicodemus Ndalana has promised to crack down on illegal immigration, drug trafficking and contraband goods in the region. Speaking after commissioning the newly created Hadabo sub-county in Wajir, the regional commissioner tasked the local national government administrators to ensure all routes are blocked to illegal immigrants and goods.
The regional commissioner says people from neighboring Ethiopia and Somalia have been illegally crossing the border into Kenya, warning the government will close the routes.
Hii ya Adado ni mahali pia ya kupitia aliens, especially aliens wa kutoka Ethiopia, na wote wanatokezea kwake na wanatokea border point moja pamoja na wale wanatoka through Ethiopia, ni through Moyale wakija kupitia kwako, ni transit point. Lazima uhakikishe umesimamisha. Hiyo ni area moja, lazima waangalie vizuri, uongee na vijana wako, uongee na DCC yako, uongee na kila mtu, uhakikishe ya kwamba umesimamisha hiyo aliens transiting through your place.
Beldas Member of Parliament Aden KENYAN asked local leaders and police to work together to address the drug abuse vice in the region.
Sehemu yetu, nafikiri sio sehemu moja peke yake. Watoto yetu wameharibika, wanaendelea kuharibika. Kuna drugs zinatolewa kutoka kwa Ethiopia, hashish, cannabis inapita hii sehemu yote, watu warahongwa, inapita kwa kila mahali. tungependa tukuulize baraarsi na watu ya security, wale wanafanya biashara kwa hiyo kitu, tafadhalini sana, maana tunauliza serikali yetu kuu na hasa wale wanahusika na usalama, jambo hiyo ikomeshwe na wale wanafanya hiyo biashara wanaswe, ili watoto wetu wakae kwa amani. Hizo vitu zinazungushwa kila mahali.
Last week, Nakada CEO Victor Okioma met the Northeastern Region Multi-Agency Security Agencies in Garissa to chart a way of ending drug trafficking in the region.
And some good news from Samburu County, where more than 300 livestock farmers in Samburu Central Sub-County have benefited from a dairy goat distribution program. The 3 million shillings program is set to improve milk production, food security, and fight poverty in the selected families.
Nomotio Livestock Improvement Center. Hundreds of farmers drawn from villages in Waralal ward of Samburu Central Sub-County turned up to receive dairy goats. The goats were offered at no cost as part of a 3 million shillings program being funded by the Samburu County government in efforts to improve milk production, food security, and fight poverty.
The county government has a spend of 3 million in this project. We really want to assist the people to be having a lot of milk actually to supply and to be self-sustainable in terms of food security.
Mimi sijawahi fuga hizo mbuzi, sijawahi fuga ng'ombe, lakini saizi kwa sababu ya hiyo training mimi niko tayari kuwa na mbuzi so that mimi nisiweze kuwa mtu wa kubeg ama kutafuta maybe upiti kwa watu, msaada kwa watu, lakini sasa nitaweza kujisimamia, maana nitatafutia mbuzi yangu chakula, nitatafutia vitu vile atalala vizuri, na nihakikishe ya kwamba tunapata maziwa na nipate ya kuuza tupate chakula.
The county's CEC in charge of agriculture, livestock and fisheries, Benedict Lentumunai, said another 200 goats will be distributed to farmers in Angata, Nanyukie, Poro and Losuk wards in the coming days in a program aimed at making the county food secure.
Over 300 goats to give out, and today we are launching 100 to the residents of Maralal. Very soon we are also launching the rest to Angata Nanyuke ward, Poro ward and Losuk ward.
Take another break. Don't go too far. We still got more lined up ahead, including business and news from the world of sports. Do stay with us for that.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uliekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako, chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
You're going to realize it soon, Dad, just how mistaken you are. And you and Maximiliano are going to remember me, Dad. You're going to remember me. Listen, don't be naive. Come on. Amaya will obviously be there because that's the wedding of her sister. But my brother doesn't have any business there. He went so he could be with my wife. Do you understand?
Cesar,
Idiot.
no. But none of you knows what I'm capable of doing in the name of justice.
Right. And what justice are you talking about, huh? Answer me. Answer me.
Max, watch out! Be careful!
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's move on. A third-year account student at Elgonview Technical and Vocational Training College has won the prestigious National Environmental Award in an event organized by the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife. Isaac Juma says the prestigious award has motivated him to plant more than 10,000 trees by the end of the year.
Speaking at the National Environmental Award event, Isaac Juma, who was also crowned the Master of Environment 2021, says he will strive to be an environmental ambassador in Migori County.
Because I want the Master of Environment, so I am expecting to negotiate with my colleagues so that we can conserve the environment by planting almost 10,000 trees. And I'll begin with my school, which is at Elgonview College, Migori campus.
The National Environmental Awards competition in recent times has focused on topics of blue economy, wildlife-human conflicts, and the impact of COVID-19 on environmental conservation. Juma further encouraged youths to participate in environmental award-winning competitions to help the society conserve the natural inhabitants.
I'd like to encourage my fellow youths that, one, environment is all about us. We live in the environment. So one of the things that I should encourage them is to keep the environment clean, try to make environment friendly by even planting trees, by even educating the others who are ignorant of the environment, that the environment is part of their life.
The competition was divided into 3 categories of upper primary, high school and tertiary institutions. The winners in each category were given 1 week fully sponsored by camping safaris to Kenya's wonderful national parks and game reserves. For Channel 1 News, I'm Jacqueline Masharia.
Now, the Council of Governors says all county governments will halt operations next week if the National Treasury fails to disburse the remaining 102 billion shillings by this Friday. The funds are for the current financial year ending this month. The Council Chair Martin Wambora says key operations such as health provision have hugely been affected by the delay in release of funds, and more functions face threat of total collapse.
If the National Treasury fails to release the required funds, counties will not be able to offer basic services, thereby forcing suspension of services or a total shutdown by 24th June 2021.
It's not just counties, it is the whole country that will suffer if we do not get resources to cover for COVID and make sure that we stop it from where it is spreading now, but also prepare. Remember, these are also the months when the Treasury will kind of like close down. We are once we close IFMIS from probably end of this month, The next time we'll get money will be in September, and that is the time when you require resources for this cold period, but also for COVID spike.
Laikipia Governor Nderitu Murithi has challenged local leaders to help in developing the county instead of endless politics. Murithi said it was prudent for leaders to propagate politics of development instead of engaging in activities meant to water down what has been achieved by others.
Speaking in Nyahururu town, Laikipia Governor Nderitu Murithi defended his move to seek 120 million shillings county infrastructure bond from the national government to fund capital-intensive development projects in the county, such as smart towns and irrigation programs.
Kwa sababu hela ya maendeleo sio mingi kila mwaka, hebu tutafute tuingie hapa treasury na wenzao Central Bank watukopeshe milioni 120 ya kukarabati hapa Nyahururu, na watupe nafasi ya miaka 7 tuweze kulipa hiyo hela, na hiyo kwa kizungu ndiyo inaitwa infrastructure bond.
The bond will be the first option for devolved units seeking to source funds from the capital markets. Murithi said the county is also seeking to use leasing as a means of financing the acquisition of medical equipment to bring down the cost of buying. The county has already received its first credit rating report, which has indicated a stable outlook.
Ukingoja mapato ya kila mwaka itachukua muda. Heri tuchukue leo, tufanye maendeleo, yale mapato ya kila mwaka tutumie kulipa ile tuliyopatiwa.
Now crossing over into the world of business, trade and economic ties between Kenya and the United States is set to improve after the United States eased its travel restriction on Kenya. The Center for Disease Control has issued a Level 2 travel health notice for Kenya from the previous Level 4 that led to a major drop in visitor numbers from the United States to Kenya. The US is a major source market for tourists to Kenya, ranked at number 2 behind the United Kingdom. Caroline Kamau reports.
Kenya's COVID-19 positivity rate stood at 5.7% nationally, and while there has been an upsurge in counties such as Kisumu, the national positivity rate appears to be holding steady. The United States has downgraded Kenya's advisory level from its previous Level 4 to Level 2 and has also adjusted travel guidance for vaccinated Americans in the process. In a notice dated June 8, 2021, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention CDC issued a Level 2 travel health notice for Kenya due to COVID-19, indicating a moderate level of COVID-19 in the country. The update comes as a huge relief to tourism stakeholders as it raises their hope for more international visitors this year, many of whom had avoided traveling to Kenya since the onset of COVID-19 in the country last year. Kenya has moved to safeguard its tourism sector from further hits by lifting a ban on passenger flights between Nairobi and London ahead of the peak summer season. Last week, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the resumption of flights to the UK after nearly a 3-month hiatus. Kenya had banned flights from the UK from April 9th. The decision by Kenya to restore these flights comes as a boost to the hospitality industry ahead of the main tourism season that starts in July to September. Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
Now, focusing on the East African region, business leaders have urged the East African Community Secretariat to fast-track the harmonization of domestic taxes. The players say the dispute resolution mechanisms through the Trade Remedies Committee Act are some of the redress that can be deployed to enhance intra-regional trade.
Currently, the 6 East African Community Partner States import goods at 3 different common external tariff levels at 0% for raw material, 10% for intermediate goods and 25% for finished products. Consultations are ongoing as to whether the community should adopt a fourth CET band at either 30% or 35%. However, the private sector says this and persistent non-tariff barriers will slow the industrialization agenda and value addition in the EAC region.
Kwenye integration of the private sector ndani ya region au ndani ya eneo hili la Afrika Mashariki, kuna masuala ya mtandao ili tuweze kuwa na bei moja kimtandao. Kuna masuala ya COVID-19 ili jinsi kila nchi inavyotreat matatizo ya COVID-19.
However, the EAC Secretariat said businesses across the East Africa region are set to benefit from prompt resolution of persistent trade barriers and disputes following the revamping of the EAC Secretariat Private Sector Desk, which will serve as an interface between the private sector and the EAC Secretariat.
Private sector issues gani tunaweza kwa pamoja tunajadiliana na tunaona ni vipi tutazitatua. Najua changamoto ziko nyingi.
Speaking during a CEO roundtable, business leaders presented a policy document with a matrix of intra-EAC trade and investment issues that the private sector is advocating to be promptly resolved.
Kwamba sisi wote tujenge mazingira ambayo mazuri ya kufanya biashara, ya uwekezaji, na tuitikie kilio chenu. Kwa hiyo mimi napenda kuhakikishia katika mahusiano yetu ya nje lazima tuweke mbele mtangamano huu.
After trade barriers are ironed out, intra-EAC trade is expected to increase by almost 100 billion shillings in coming years, as estimated by the Office of Eastern Africa. Alan Auko, Channel on Business.
The government is set to introduce hybrid rice seeds for commercial production next season. Through the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, farmers in rice-growing regions could start planting hybrid rice later this year, which is expected to raise rice production.
Kenya's rice production to remain 121,000 tons, while rice consumption is set to rise to 700,000 tons in the 2021-22 marketing year. The forecast for 2021 to 2022 marketing year rice imports is 575,000 tons, which is a gradual increase from previous years. Kenya plans to ramp up rice production by incorporating hybrid rice later this year. Speaking during a field mission at the Hola Breeding Station, African Agricultural Technology Foundation Director Dr. Sani Kayode says the government and private sector's players have embarked on sensitization campaign to educate rice farmers and millers on the hybrid seeds developed in the area ahead of planting after approval by Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, KEFIS.
So we have what we call a public-private partnership for Alliance for Hybrid Rice. Currently, when we evaluated our rice with Pishori, in terms of grain quality, they have the same grain quality. And when you look at the yield on farmers' field, where farmers are getting 20 bags per acre, we are getting 50 bags per acre.
Dr. Kayode says the usage of hybrid rice seed that matures in 100 days instead of the 120 to 150 days.
So what hybrid is doing is that it's pushing the yield, more than doubling the yield, so that the cost of production per kilogram of rice can go down, and that can help reduce the price of local rice and make it to be competitive with the imported rice in terms of price.
The project is also aimed at creating employment and encouraging youths to venture into rice farming as agribusiness. According to the head of the Rice Promotion Program at the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Mary Mutembei, the country was importing 90% of its annual consumption despite having good climate, soils and adequate water for growing the crop.
When we see this kind of technologies coming up, we are really encouraged. And so we are working together with the private sector, with the development partners, with the farmers to see how we can close that gap of importation.
Now, on the international scene, Toshiba blames troubles on former CEO's confrontational approach to shareholders. The CEO, who apologized to shareholders, also told a news conference broadcast online that it would hold an emergency general meeting to appoint new board members. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the globe.
Japan's Toshiba on Monday blamed its former chief executive for fomenting a confrontational approach to shareholders, citing that as an underlying factor in its widening governance crisis. The comment from Osamu Nagayama, the chairman of Toshiba's board, comes after a shareholder-commissioned investigation revealing that the company colluded with the Japanese government to beat up foreign shareholders. One shareholder has described the scandal as the biggest corporate scandal in a decade. Nagayama says that there was a somewhat confrontational stance towards shareholders brewing from some time ago. The crisis in Toshiba has renewed concern about governance in the world's third largest economy and its openness to foreign investors. Among the newly appointed group of directors will include 2 new foreigners to carry out a strategic review. Meanwhile, lockdown easing in England is said to be delayed by 4 weeks. Senior ministers have signed off a decision to delay the lifting of all coronavirus restrictions in England beyond 21st June. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is expected to confirm the delay later at a press conference. Stage 4 of the government's roadmap out of lockdown will see all legal limits on social contact removed. Nevertheless, many scientists have called for the reopening to be delayed to enable more people to be vaccinated and receive second doses amid rising cases of the Delta variant. Prime Minister Boris Johnson says a final decision on whether the reopening should be paused had not yet been taken. All areas of Scotland are due to move to level 0 COVID restrictions on June 28th, meaning bigger groups can gather but observe social distancing. Finally, a Swiss chemicals maker said on Monday that Clariant CLNS has agreed to sell its pigments business to Hackback Group and SK Capital Partners in a deal which values the business at up to $951.27 million. Clariant says it would reinvest to become a 20% shareholder in the new combined business. The deal represented an enterprise value of $895 million to $950 million, depending on an earn-out payment based on the 2021 financial performance of the business, which makes pigments and dyes used in the automotive, plastics and other industries. The company has already divested its healthcare packaging and master batches business as it seeks to grow faster than its markets and raise profit margins.
Now moving on, Israel's new Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has vowed to unite the nation freed by 4 elections in 2 years of political stalemate. Bennett says his government will work for the sake of all people and will prioritize reforming education, health and cutting red tape.
The right-wing nationalists will lead an unprecedented coalition of parties backed by MPs in a vote on Sunday and has succeeded Benjamin Netanyahu, who was forced out of office after 12 years. Bennett, leader of Yamina Party, will be Prime Minister until September 23 as part of power-sharing deal, then hand over power to Yair Lapid, head of the centrist Yeshid Party, for a further 2 years. In England, lockdown is set to be in place for another 4 weeks after the planned 21st June unlocking. Senior ministers have signed off on the decision to delay the lifting of all legal restrictions on social contact. However, capacity in sports, pubs, cinemas will be limited, but nightclubs will stay closed. Extension will be put to a common vote this month and could trigger a sizable conservative backbench rebellion. Elsewhere, Zambia's President Edgar Lungu has assured Zambians that he is well after collapsing while attending a public event. President Lungu was presiding over the National Defense Day on Sunday when he experienced a Sunday dizziness in Lusaka capital. Secretary to the Cabinet, Simon Miti, issued a statement saying the president recovered after the incident and has continued to discharge his duties. The president had a similar health incident in 2015, which the presidency said was because of an esophagus condition. Marcin Joki for Channel 1 News.
It's now time for some sports. Netherlands got their Euro 2020 campaign off to a good start following their thrilling 3-2 victory over Ukraine in Amsterdam. This was the first ever match in the history of the European Championships to see 5 goals scored in the second half of a match that was 0-0 at halftime. Elsewhere, Brazil registered a 3-0 win over Venezuela as this year's edition of the Copa America kicked off. Colombia were 1-0 winners over Ecuador.
Denzel Dumfries' late header rescued 3 points for the Netherlands in their Euro 2020 opener with a thrilling 3-2 victory over Ukraine in Amsterdam.
All about this, although the goalkeeper's in trouble here. Wijnaldum! Now they have a measure of control. Gini Wijnaldum fires the Netherlands in front. Hit by Weghorst, and it's 2-0. Wout Weghorst has doubled Netherlands' money.
The Dutch had held a comfortable 2-goal lead after halftime before spirited Ukraine leveled the scores at the Johan Cruyff Arena 15 minutes from time.
Yarmolenko! He can do that! He can do that! Set up by Yaremchuk, he just couldn't resist. And that swerving, searing shot from the Ukrainian captain. It's into Yaremchuk!
Couldn't make it up.
It's 2-2.
Yes. What a goal that is as well. It's all about the delivery. The delivery's superb.
However, a Dumfries header late on ensured manager Frank de Boer a vital win in Group C.
Okay. Dumfries! 3-2 to the Netherlands! It's Denzel Dumfries' third big chance of the night.
The 85th minute winner was Netherlands' latest game-winning goal at the Euros since current boss Frank de Boer scored an 89th minute penalty against Czech Republic at Euro 2000. Both teams are back in action on Thursday. Ukraine's second group game comes fast against Macedonia in Bucharest, with Netherlands once again playing host when they clash against Austria. Also, Brazil opened the 2021 Copa America with a 3-0 win over Venezuela, dominating their inexperienced opponents from start to finish in a one-sided match. Defender Marquinhos scored the opening goal midway through the first half. With Neymar adding the second from the sport, his 67th international goal. Substitute Gabriel Barbosa made it 3 within 2 minutes remaining when he chested home a cross from Neymar after the tireless Paris Saint-Germain forward had rounded the keeper. The Copa America was moved to Brazil with just 2 weeks' notice after co-host Colombia were removed due to a wave of civil unrest and Argentina pulled out because of a COVID-19 surge in the country.
And that's all we had for you. Thank you so much for creating time for us this particular afternoon. Quinta Akoth from Migori, Tony Mchafuz from Voi, and of course August Wambuzi, you're tuned in. Thank you. We appreciate you. Shafil Kasim from Voi, thank you also. And of course CJ Isaiah, you're watching us from Chepsonoi, loud and clear. Thank you. I appreciate all of you who created time to catch the latest. Please remember, we continue to inform you in our subsequent news bulletins at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. My name is Serfine Achieng Ouma, and our sign language interpreter has been Anne Wangeshi. Have a lovely afternoon.